Why do Rhaenyra and Damon speak to each other in High Valyrian? Damon Targaryen and his niece Rhaenyra Targaryen have spoken a few times in their mother tongue or High Valyrian, a tongue as old as Valyria. Although the use of High Valyrian might be trivial at the outset, the uncle-niece duo's conversations in this ancient language are laced with great significance and hidden meaning. But worry you not, we have explored all the possible reasons why they use High Valyrian and under what circumstances they use it. In this video, we will explore High Valyrian, its significance in the world of House of the Dragon, and we will try to understand the real reason why Rhaenyra and Damon speak to each other in High Valyrian. Oh, and by the way, dragon-sized spoilers are coming up ahead, so stay here at your own risk or fly away. Let's begin, shall we? Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. What is High Valyrian? Well, the Targaryens hailed from Valyria, the land of volcanoes and magic and dragons, and the most common language of the place was Valyria. In later times, the Valyrian migrated to other places like the free cities and slaver cities, where people spoke a diluted form of Valyrian, which was called Bastard Valyrian. Naturally, the original language came to be known as High Valyrian. Because of the magnificence that the noble houses of Valyria enjoyed, their language became a symbol of power and significance, so much so that even after 300 years of Aegon's invasion of the Seven Kingdoms, the nobles taught their children to read and write in High Valyrian. This was nothing more than a status symbol. Valyria stood at the top of all civilizations for 5,000 years, until the Doom of Valyria, a cataclysmic event that destroyed Valyria. The mountains became volcanic and filled the sky with ash and fire, an event so potent that it killed even dragons. Nevertheless, after the Doom of Valyria, most of the Valyrian people lost their lives, and a few escaped the place for safety. Chief among them was King Rhaenyra and a few of his close ones. It was these few people who ensured that High Valyrian was not forgotten and lost. What is the significance of High Valyrian? After King Rhaenyra Targaryen fled Valyria with his slaves, wealth, and family, he settled in Dragonstone, a bleak island with a smoky mountain. 100 years later, Aegon Targaryen started conquering the Seven Kingdoms, and the rest, as they say, is history. The Dragon Lords would then go on to rule for 3 centuries, and all this time, High Valyrian was the primary language when the Targaryens spoke to each other. However, they excelled in the common tongue, which was the language spoken throughout Westeros. Notably, in the Game of Thrones era, only 3 Targaryens were alive: Maester Aemon, Daenerys, and her brother Viserys. Daenerys were fluent in High Valyrian, so it seems that even at the dawn of the Targaryen Empire, they kept teaching their children to speak in their ancient and proud mother tongue. However, apart from the Targaryens, most of the Westerosi knights and nobles do not understand High Valyrian, an advantage that the Targaryens, including Damon and Rhaenyra, used to the best of their abilities. What are the circumstances under which Rhaenyra and Damon use High Valyrian? To understand why Damon and Rhaenyra speak to each other in High Valyrian, it is important to understand the circumstances under which they use the language. Well, until the second episode, the two of them used High Valyrian in 3 major instances. The first time was when Rhaenyra learned about her uncle's arrival at court. She arrives with Sir Harold Westerling and meets Damon in the Great Hall, where Damon was sitting on the Iron Throne, an act that's high treason and punishable by death. Damon was next in line to become king, but he would have been displaced if Queen Aemma gave birth to a son, a fact that Rhaenyra reminded Damon. After this, Damon gives her a present, a necklace made of Valyrian steel. The next time they spoke in High Valyrian was at the funeral of Queen Aemma and the infant Prince Balon. Rhaenyra was the one to execute the funeral using her dragon, but she would not do it until Damon reminded her that people were waiting. Interestingly, she rather speaks ill of her father's obsession with having a male heir, and how despite his love for her, the king will never see her as more than a little girl, let alone as the heir. Even here, she was in the vicinity of several Westerosi nobles and lords, including Alicent Hightower. The third and final time that the two of them use High Valyrian is when Rhaenyra flies to Dragonstone to take back the egg of the dragon called Dreamfire, which Damon had stolen. Even now, the two of them were surrounded by several knights and the hand of the king, Otto Hightower. Why do Rhaenyra and Damon speak to each other in High Valyrian? It must have become obvious to you by now that Rhaenyra and Damon speak in High Valyrian when they are surrounded by other people. High Valyrian comes in handy as a language that offers them privacy despite being in public. In the first instance, Sir Harold Westerling, the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, was present in the throne room with them, and they couldn't allow him to learn about their conversation. Everyone knew how ambitious Damon was, but this time it was not just about him expressing his wish of becoming king. It was something more. Damon and Rhaenyra have shared some kind of romantic tension since the time Rhaenyra came of age. Any enthusiast knows that the two will get married in the days to come, and will give their romance a physical nature. So, High Valyrian was also a language of romance for the uncle and niece. Later at the funeral, Rhaenyra expresses her concern about the way her father handled her mother's pregnancy. Clearly, she blamed him for her mother's death, but this was an extremely private conversation, something that was fit to be heard only by family members. So, to restrict Alicent from learning about the content of her words, Rhaenyra spoke to Damon in High Valyrian. Lastly, Rhaenyra reached Dragonstone to extract the egg from Damon, but she knew that if left unchecked, the situation between Otto Hightower and Daemon Targaryen might have escalated into a brutal fight, and with Daemon's ferocious red dragon by his side, he would have been able to crush the king's party. Naturally, she reached Dragonstone on her own dragon and brought back the egg without any bloodshed. Not only that, but she also called bullshit on Daemon's claims of having a child with his paramour, Mysaria. This proved how able and skilled a ruler Rhaenyra could have been, but she did not just want to prove it to her father. In reality, she did not want Daemon to kill anyone because that would have brought Daemon under the full wrath of Viserys' army and dragons, something that she did not want Daemon to suffer through. Interestingly enough, this scene was not present in the books and was solely the brainchild of the creators. To sum it up, Rhaenyra and Damon speaking in High Valyrian may have seemed like a trivial thing initially, but it is only after a deeper analysis that one understands the true depth of such plot points. Every time the Targaryens would speak on High Valyrian, the conversation would be filled with hidden meaning and dire consequences. Rhaenyra and Damon have a long way to go together, and only time will tell how these two will fare. Actually, even Martin's novels will tell you that. But if you don't have the time to read them, stick around with us, as we will continue to unearth these secrets for you. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.